Hey, everybody, we're back again for another look at the movies of the 2000s. That's 2000 to 2009. And I'm here with my guest, Trey from Reactions to the Classics, Doc, Brian, AYBL Maine. Check his channel out. Make sure you sub AYBL Maine and Reactions to the Classics. And of course, we did, I think, 6 categories already. Previously, we had a little
Yep.
bit of a lull, but we're back. We're going to go at it again with 6 more and wrap up the 2000s. So thanks again, guys, for being here. Appreciate you all.
Very
And
good.
look forward to your opinions on some of these movies we're going to tackle today and see how we line up, whether we're on the same boat or on an island. So let's see what we got. First off is sports categories, and we're going to start it off with Trey.
All right, man. Well, thank you again, Rich, for having me on, man. Always love discussing movies. And so for the sports category, man, I had to include at number 5. I'm a huge basketball fan. Not a lot of great basketball films this decade. You had Glory Road in there, which I kind of considered. If you really wanted to stretch, you could say semi-pro with Will Ferrell, but I ended up landing on Coach Carter, a solid Samuel L. performance. The story, kind of made headlines based on a true story. This guy, had an undefeated high school basketball team. He ends up benching his entire starting unit because of poor grades and whatnot, and that kind of made headlines in the day. And I think that. Samuel L. plays that coach's role great. I mean, you know that he can bring that intensity and that believability to that role. So I wanted to give Coach Carter some love. Good message too about not letting life kind of get you down and having a rebound. Number 4, a movie I saw in theaters with my old man Sean back in the day, featuring the two Matthew Fox, Matthew McConaughey, and rewatched this recently, and still a solid little flick. We got We Are Marshall, detailing the story, 1971. Marshall plane crash, and that's really the highlight of the movie for me. Those first 30 minutes where something, the bad part's about to come with the plane crash. Seeing everybody get on it, kind of reminded me of La Bamba at the end of that, where you see Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper and everybody going on, and then plane crashes and having to rebuild that program from the ground up. Some emotional moments in there, and I think McConaughey, I know he's hit or miss with some people, but I like him. Maybe it's those Texas roots, I don't know, but so I got that at 4. At number 3, I'm gonna go with Rocky Balboa. I think Stallone put in Rocky 5, the worst of the Rockies in my opinion. So I'm glad that he ended up coming back with this here. And man, the dude still was in unbelievable shape as he goes out here. And kind of an interesting concept to see the Rocky verse go. Adrian has passed away, and him and a young Milo, I can never remember his last name, but him playing his son, just that kind of tension there, but you still see that Rocky's kind of a beloved, even if they took his statue down in Philly. So I thought that was great. And then Creed, which came out in the the 2010s decade.
Right.
I think Michael B. Jordan's done a great job with that. And that was some of the better sports movies of the next decade. But number 2, this is maybe I might be stretching the rules a little bit, but I had to include it. Little auto racing action. John C. Reilly, Will Ferrell, Talladega Nights, baby, the ballad of my
Sean,
guy.
you must be happy.
Ricky Bobby, shake and bake, baby. Come on now, shake and bake. Oh, so many moments in there that just crack me up when they're doing the prayer to the sweet little baby Jesus. They got the KFC on there. It just, it does have an interesting character arc actually for old Ricky Bobby here, being at the top and then going all the way down and having to find his dad, this and that. It's one of those where I can throw it on at any time, and then
Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby.
It lifts up the mood. Yeah, and Sacha Baron Cohen in it too. Come on,
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, so that's that one I might be stretching the rules, but I had to give it some love. But number one for me, early part of the decade, 2000, I believe. Gonna be going with Remember the Titans. I think Denzel Washington shines in this performance. And it does even though it is a Disney type of film, sometimes they can get a little a little too sentimental at times. I think they did a fantastic job here, kind of towing the line between a lot of difficult topics. You have a race brought up in here, tragedy brought up. How is that gonna be able to bring people together through this football team, and the motivator that Denzel is as the coach, and some emotional moments, some funny moments, a pretty solid soundtrack to boot. So I had to put it at number one on my sports movies list.
Very solid. I like the two football movies you put in. We Are Marshall
Very good.
and
Yeah,
Remember the Titans. And of course, Rocky Balboa is a good film, man.
it is. It
It really
is.
is.
If I
He's
would've
like this local hero walking around the city, and everybody knows him. And
Yeah, it's still
Cool.
asking for autographs and
right.
If
Very
I continued
nice.
to live in Alexandria, Virginia, when I was growing up, I would have went to T.C. Williams, which is where Remember the Titans took place.
That's where it is.
right, yeah.
Cool. All
Very
right.
good.
Very good, Trey. How about you, Doc? What do you have for us?
Well, I've got one the same as yours here, Trey. So,
All right.
but I'll start off with I know your love of basketball. I also one of the sports I do love is actually golf. So my first one is actually The Greatest Game Ever.
Oh yeah.
Michel Leboeuf, on the story of Francis Ouellet being the first amateur to win the U.S. Open at his home course, as it turns out. And it's a neat little backstory about how he got there, being a caddy at that course, and the actual event actually takes place at that course, and he would try for years to even get into it. And there's family tensions with his dad and everything else. It's Bill Paxton actually directed this movie, so
Nice.
it's really well filmed actually for like a golf movie. So I mean, how much can you show, right? It's a ball in the air and it's going in the hole, but just the actual story itself behind it, I love the history of all that kind of stuff in any sport and anything like that. So just a sweet spot for me personally. So that lands it on my number 5. Number 4, I'm going with our boy Billy Bob showing up in Friday Night Lights. So,
Yeah, good pick.
yeah, at least I got a football one in here for us, at least one. So we'll see how it goes. So, but it's just that coming of age story here going on, and it also has a lot of meaning behind it as well too. So this is, the reality checks in this movie about, it's at this stage of your life.
Yeah.
And it almost hits you like turning into adulthood after this stage. Like, where am I going from here after this is all said and done? Because it's mentioned that a few of these different movies here, but your life changes. You think it's the be all and end all at that stage, and it turns out you could be driving a cab, you could be working in an office. You don't know what life actually holds for you after this is all said and done. So this could be your peak of your moment in life for what is you. So I think it really touches on it well. I like Billy Bob Thornton in this movie, and I like the message behind it too, that it actually shows that actually happens, especially at the end when they're walking away in the parking lot. It's like, everyone's on their own, man. Here we go. So that comes in at number 4 for me. My number 3 follows that up with Trey's Remember the Titans. So I do like this one a lot. I do like all the things that you touched on there, Trey. The racial side of things. There's a whole bunch of different meanings here, and the tragedies and everything else too. It's Denzel, man. It's and it is a different kind of message for Disney at this time too. So you're right. It didn't shy away from certain things, and I'm happy about that, because that's what makes the movie pretty good. A really good movie, actually.
Yeah.
Sports movies are sometimes difficult to do. I'm a big hockey guy. I almost had a hockey movie on here. So, I'm a big Kurt Russell fan too. So he almost made it. But I found that this message and the way that Denzel is, that the story behind it, of the grouping of, you know, the racial backgrounds and everything else that goes on in the movie, I think is a really, really well done movie, especially for Disney. Outside everything else, for a Disney movie, this was like a better messaging movie on their part, I found. So and then I go down to 2 and 1. So man, do I have a ha on this one? Holy cow! Number 2 is $1 Million Baby. Hilary Swank.
Yep.
And Clint. Kind of reminds me, it's like 2 different sides to a movie again. And I see this pop up, and I'm saying it again here, but it's like the 2 sides of a story. It's like, you know, I want to go do this in my life, and Clint's there to help her get to that stage and actually, you know, reach her pinnacle of what she's trying to do. Then you find out how valuable life really is. And it, you know, once you get to that pinnacle, man, things can turn on a dime too for you. You know, it's like, you know, you get to the top and you can get knocked off pretty damn fast. So she's fantastic in this movie, and so is he actually. And Morgan's good in this. So
yeah,
it's a good cast. It's a solid flick. It's just a sad story.
Very emotional.
It's an emotional story.
It is.
Which leads me to my number 1, which I found to be a more emotional story on this front. So, and that's The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. Man, this is a reality check movie for what actually goes on for these guys. If you're not on there, your Saturday or Friday night or Sunday, or when I was growing up, it was Saturday and Sunday watching wrestling. If you're not on that tier in this profession, then you're just going small town to small town and hanging out at, you know, fringe parts outside of major cities or doing something along these lines. And yeah, let's face it, you're getting the crap kicked out of you every week for nothing. And it can lead to seedy sides of life and everything else. Marissa Tomei's in this, she's really good, and Mickey Rourke is fantastic. I mean, you want to talk about tour de force acting in a movie that has no place being talked about in the realm of Mickey Rourke is awesome in this flick. The story is sad. The messaging is even sad behind it, but it is an awesome and emotional movie that should be watched. It's definitely my sports pick of the decade.
Couldn't agree more. Your top 2 are going to be high on my list as well. That's all I'm going to say. Over to who, Brian.
Okay. I've got, of my 5, 4 of them will take place in a ring. But at number 5, since I couldn't fit it in my comedy, I went ahead and snuck it in here. I put Dodgeball at number 5.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, I like, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. I mean, there's nothing better than that. I mean, it's an hilarious movie. It just total goofball, spoofy stuff going on all the time. I really enjoyed actually like Jason Bateman's character. He's one of the ring announcers and stuff.
That's right.
He was just great, kind of this over the top, you know, Sean White type of character to figure commentates on something. I thought he was great. And, you know, Vince Vaughn, Rip Torn, you know, we're all good. It was just a hilarious movie. And I said, well, I'm going to give it some love because everything else is a really serious movie from this point on. So,
yeah, broadcast on ESPN8, The Ocho.
The Ocho. Number 4 for me is Ali. The one with Will Smith playing Muhammad Ali. Probably a sentimental favorite for me because I've actually met Muhammad Ali twice. You know, we've talked about it with you guys before, you know, both times when I was young, once when I was very young and really didn't understand who I was meeting at the time. Certainly one of the few guys that I admire because not only could he talk the talk, but the guy just, he would back it up immediately. If he said he was going to knock you out in the first round, he would go out there and just
he's coming
in the first round. And that's just the way it was. I mean, it was a joy to watch. And I remember watching the documentary, We Are Kings. With the rumble and was the one with the rumble in the jungle.
Yeah,
that was great. But number 3 for me is $1 Million Baby. Sean's already touched on that. Really kind of a heart-wrenching film. I view it as kind of 2 films, really. There's the first half of the movie seems to be just centered around the boxing and him taking under the wing, and then there's the post injury film, which becomes a totally different type of film in it of itself. Powerful performances by Clint in that, Morgan Freeman, Anthony Mackie's actually even in the movie as one of the young boxers. You know, he did a good job in there as well. Hilary Swank, you know, I mean, for some reason she can just attach herself to roles like this.
She's
she
great.
Just does an excellent job. She's not afraid in her role.
She's a fantastic actress.
Exactly. The stuff that she chooses to do, she's just not afraid. And I think that's great. Number 2 for me is The Wrestler. Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei are both great in it. I used to watch wrestling as a kid. I actually had some autographs from like Ivan Putski and Bob Backlund. That's how old school I was.
I remember them.
I actually went to see it, and then later on, I always kind of viewed wrestling as almost theater in itself. It was almost like soap opera for guys.
Yeah.
And of course, it's fake, but at the same time, you have to grow and appreciate the physical demand
absolutely
that this sport actually takes upon these people, for them to perform even the feats that they perform in the ring, even if it's theater. It's just it's an incredible task, and this makes you see it on a whole different level, what they're willing to put their bodies through in the name of entertainment. And the money almost is nothing to them as much as it is to still be in the limelight and still be revered by fans in some way. And that's what kind of made it tragic. I think Bruce Springsteen did the song.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Right. Yeah, he did the song "The Wrestler" for the soundtrack. So number 1 for me though is Cinderella Man.
Yep.
With Russell Crowe, with James J. Braddock's going after the title against Max Baer, the infamous Max Baer, who supposedly had killed 2 men in the ring. That's all highly debatable about the circumstances surrounding the men that actually died and stuff. But it chronicles his whole life, going through the very high highs when he has everything going for him, and then the depression hits, wipes him out. Then he injures himself when he's working in a stockyard, and still manages to come back from that with an injured hand and fight his way back to the championship. Now, he didn't even hold on to the championship for very long.
No,
not at all. But still, the very fact that he got there from basically all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top again. Russell Crowe does a great job in it. The guy who plays Max Baer, I've seen him in movies before, like Dickie Roberts and things like that. They must have done some odd camera shots because he's not really that big of a guy, but they made him look like he was enormous compared to Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
So it's a good movie though. It's my favorite sports movie of the 2000s anyway. So,
well, it made my list. I have 3 of the same you have, and
no Dodgeball. No.
I missed out on Dodgeball and Ricky Bobby. Believe it or not, they just missed the cut. Actually, believe it or not, sports fan that I am, I have no baseball, no football, or no basketball among my 5, which is really strange because I like some of the you mentioned. I like all 3 of the football movies. Friday Night Lights, Remember the Titans, and We Are Marshall. They're all very, very good. I like the golf movie as well, but I'm going to start with hockey, and that's number 5. That's Miracle. Kurt Russell playing Herb Brooks, the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team, 1980. Fantastic story. I believe this is a Disney film as well.
I think it is.
It's really well made, and it's very accurate. I mean, they have these guys positioned exactly where they were in real life with the snapshots when the snapshots got to be there, and just they choreographed it beautifully. It's an excellent replication of what actually happened in 1980. So it made my list in the number 5 hole. Number 4 is Cinderella Man, directed by Ron Howard. Solid movie. Brian detailed, James Braddock, the Depression era, all the stuff I was going to touch on. Renee Zellweger is the love interest, or his wife, I guess she's the wife. And Paul Giamatti is his trainer. He was nominated in the supporting category. He's excellent too in the ring and all. He looks like a weathered old wily veteran in that corner. Just good casting, I would say. Number 3 is a movie I just saw about 10 days ago because I wanted it to prepare for this segment, and that's Invictus. a movie about rugby from South Africa. And Morgan Freeman plays Nelson Mandela. It happens post-apartheid. Directed by Clint Eastwood. Really solid movie. Matt Damon is the captain of the South African rugby team. And Morgan pretty much, or Mandela, pretty much recruits Damon to come to his house and tell him how important it is to unite the whites and the blacks together. And this is a feel-good story, but it's based on history. 1995 Rugby World Cup, bring together the country, and it's very stirring. It's very good. My number 2 and 1 have all been mentioned before. Number 2 is $1 Million Baby. Again, Clint Eastwood. Hilary Swank is a revelation in this movie. She's fantastic, one of her better performances. I love her as an actress from Boys Don't Cry, to even smaller roles that I've seen her in where she plays court lawyers and so forth. She can do it all. This is a U.S. amateur boxer from the Ozarks. She's kind of a poor girl. She wants to learn the ropes, so she goes to Clint, who's got this gym, and he turns her into this winning prize fighter. And then something unfortunate happens, and you got the second half of the movie as the guy has already detailed, and it becomes very, very distressing and very emotional. And again, two sides of her performance: the real go-getter, energetic Hillary in the ring, and then what she's got to deal with later, which is just devastating stuff. Number 1 is The Wrestler. I think it's the best sports movie of that decade by far, in my opinion. Mickey Rourke, his best performance ever. He transforms himself from the Mickey Rourke you've seen in the past until this almost unrecognizable character. Marissa Tomei is the stripper, the girlfriend. She's fantastic in this movie, as is Evan Rachel Wood as his estranged daughter. So there's that father-daughter relationship going on. Mickey and Marissa Tomei have a relationship that is kind of iffy, but they can console in each other in their private lives. He's an aging guy, diminishing health. He gets in the ring no matter what. I love some of the inside tricks they show you in the ring with the razor blades and cutting themselves. And there's some stuff in there with a barbed wire match, which is hard to watch.
That's a tough one.
It is tough to watch, but it's a great, great movie.
It is.
And I was hoping that Mickey Rourke would win the Oscar that year when it came out for the best actor. And I was torn because he was up against Sean Penn for Milk, which was another fantastic performance. And of course, Sean won it, but Mickey easily could have won that best actor award. So that's my number 1, The Wrestler from 2008. So we hit on a lot of good stuff and a lot of different sports too, which is cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap that up. And next time back, we're going to hit you with some overrated, which we always enjoy doing, poking fun at some of these highfalutin films that need to be knocked down a few pegs. And believe me, we're going to do it. So for Trey and Shawn and Doc, we will see you next time. Thanks again for watching, and leave the comments. Tell us your favorite sports movies and give us some feedback. We'll see you on the flip side. Take care. Bye.